Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel for another review. Today we're going to look at Toby the Tram engine in N-Scale. Toby has been a popular character in both the Railway series books and the TV series, and was also a main character for a majority of the show's runtime. Toby was the fourth engine released in Bachmann's N-Scale line, and this model represents the character as seen throughout the CGI series of Thomas and Friends. How faithfully does this model represent Toby, and does it function well as a miniature locomotive? Here are some general stats for Toby. As you can see, the model was first released in April 2023, and it runs on DC or analog control, and it is not DCC ready. For price, you'd be looking at about $130. However, at various retailers you can find him for as low as $80. As you can see, from the cowcatchers to the roof, Toby captures the look and shape of his TV series model very closely. The 3D wood planking effect is extremely well done, giving good texture without looking too prominent. The paint application for the most part is also nicely done, with the striking two-tone brown livery and grey side plates looking good. The windows are all blacked out, but that is to hide the drive mechanism, and I think it looks nicer than if we could see Toby's metal chassis through the windows. The lamp is also a nice, separately fitted piece as well. From this front view, you can see that the face looks just like the one Toby had in the CGI era of the show. The red buffer beam also has all of the correct details, with separately fitted buffer heads and coupling hooks. Unfortunately, on my model, the red paint isn't quite as clean as it could be, with it splashing onto the corner of the cowcatchers a bit. However, the cowcatchers are also nicely done. The slots aren't fully see-through, but this isn't much of an issue because you don't need to worry about the cowcatchers breaking, and it's not that noticeable from normal viewing distances. Looking at Toby's right side, you can see that the detail and paint application is just as good as it was on the other side. In this photo, you can also see that the steps on the side plates are see-through, which is a nice touch. Something I also forgot to mention is that the handrails going into the cab are also picked out in gold paint and look very nice. Moving around to the back of the model, you can see all of the same nice detail that was on Toby's front. One nice touch is that Toby's rear lamp has a red lens rather than a silver one. Toby's bell is molded as part of the roof, but it does look very nice, and the gold paint helps it stand out nicely. The rope is also represented in black, and the paint application here is very well done. This is molded onto the roof as well, but it's good to remember that, with N-Scale, these types of compromises are necessary. Trying to get a separately applied representation of the rope would be extremely difficult and fragile, and if it was oversized, it might even look worse than the molded option. You can also see that, on the roof, Toby's chimney and steam pipe are also nicely painted in black. As far as Toby's scaling goes, I initially thought that he would follow his model series scaling like the other engines, but I figured out that Toby is actually a little bit smaller than his model series counterpart. You can see here that while he's still larger than Thomas and Percy overall, he's a bit smaller and closer in size to them than in the model series. This actually checks out. The Thomas Wikipedia says that Toby decreased in size during the transition to CGI. When comparing with the Series 3 references of Toby, his model here is not as wide and is a bit shorter in height, although his overall length is still the same. Again, this is using British 1:148 scale, as the models generally scale very well with standard British N-scale models. He's also a little bit smaller compared to Gordon, the troublesome trucks, and the vans in the Bachmann range than in the model series. However, he does match the CGI scaling with Henrietta very well. I actually do like Toby being a bit smaller here, because the J70, his real-life basis, was an extremely small locomotive in real life, and Toby looks pretty oversized in the model series. Looking at the bottom of Toby's model, you can see that his front wheel is the one that is driven, and he has coupling rods so that all of his wheels have power. The rods are a really nice touch since his HO and large-scale models did not have them. Additionally, Toby has a coreless motor and a flywheel incorporated into the worm gear. He also has wiper pickups on all wheels and brass bearings on his axles, which help him run extremely smoothly. You can see here that Toby is very responsive to movements on the controller and doesn't really have issues with starting or stopping. The motor is also pretty quiet while he's running too. For the slow speed test, this is as slow as Toby is able to go. However, you'll see that he gets stuck on one of the track joints in his second. He is overall a very smooth runner, and when he goes a little bit faster, more like this, he's able to run slowly without stopping, which is really nice. He's also just as good at running in reverse as he is running forwards. For the points test, you'll see that Toby is generally able to get through the points very well without stopping on the frogs, and this is generally true whether he's going straight through them or through the diverging routes. However, he does occasionally have trouble on the Y point if he's running too slowly. And here in this footage, you'll see that Toby is actually a really good puller. He's able to pull Henrietta and 21 other wagons, if I remember right. But I think that's kind of crazy because of how small he is and just like how long this train is, and he was actually able to make it all the way around the layout without stopping too. For Toby's train for the running session today, obviously I'm going to have him pull Henrietta, and then I'm also going to give him the fruit van and the Great Western van, as his basis dealt with a lot of fruit traffic. After the end of the running session, then I will talk about my final thoughts for the model. Enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, here are my final thoughts on Toby. As far as character accuracy goes, I gave him a 5 out of 5 because I feel like he perfectly captured the look of the TV character. For detail, I gave him a 4.5 out of 5. I think that overall he is really, really good with like getting everything that was on the model into this model. However, I do think that Bachmann could have made the steam pipe on top of Toby's roof a little bit more prominent, as it is a pretty big feature that he has, at least in the model series. And then for a mechanism, I gave him a 5 out of 5 because obviously he has a really good motor, really good pickups, and like bearings on the wheels, so he runs very well. And the performance, I also gave a 5 out of 5 because of how well he runs. And then for quality, I did give a 4 out of 5 just because of the little paint issues that I had on mine, although I don't think that that should be a turn off to anybody who is considering buying him. And for the total, that's a 23.5 out of 25, and that would be an A grade. So overall, I do think that Toby is a really good model, and I would recommend him to anyone who is looking at collecting the N scale range. I hope you all enjoyed the video. See you next time.